Okay, so welcome back to part 5. As we said in part 1, back when, we basically talked a little bit about being in South Korea, a little bit about being on this project. And then we talked a little bit about answering the question as to which rebreather and why. Now, I must tell you, in that part we discussed the difference between SCR and CCR and why CCR. In part 2 we discussed the difference between ECCR and MCCR and why we chose MCCR, and then the variance within MCCR, why no co-piston. In parts 3 we discussed a lot about our philosophy and a lot about why we dive the way we dive. And then in part 4 we actually set up the rebreather. In this part I just want to kind of cover a little bit about how we function with the rebreather. So again, what I love about the MX system is it's very, very scalable and very adaptable to all kinds of diving, all kinds of projects and expeditions. Let's start out recreational diving. I'm going 30 meters, 100 feet or shallower, and I am diving where I am not diving for more than NDL. In that type of diving, you just need to have some bailout to get up on open circuit. You can figure out the math for yourself, but it's enough gas for 2 divers air sharing to ascend to the surface, right around 40 cubic feet, 960 liters, give or take. So that means I don't really need much more than this, than a 40 cubic foot bottle as my diluent or my drive bottle. So I can simply wear the diluent bottle and I can plug it in to the diluent side, and I now have BOV, as you can tell, BOV, I have long hose, and I have the addition to add diluent. If something happens to this side, I can always isolate it, but point being, now, for example, this button self-inflating, I can isolate and now still have full open circuit to get home. So the point is, it's designed to handle the failure. For oxygen, I know this is an argon bottle, but I would just simply use a small little bottle like this for O2, and it'll last me easy 1 hour of diving. So a simple little system like this is what I dive for recreational fun diving. Real simple. Okay? The oxygen obviously gets plugged into the oxygen side and only added as needed. And I would dive nitrox 32. So recreational is super easy, super fun. Of course, when I start getting into a little more technical diving, where I'm using helium, this becomes an argon bottle, so it stays in the same place as the argon, or the oxygen used to be. And then I'll dive a bottom mix that has more bailout and an oxygen bottle. And I might even go with 2 if I'm looking for overhead redundancy, cave diving, stuff like that. And again, these get mounted regular way on the side, oxygen. And because I may be going into decompression, 45 meter dive, I'll be going into decompression, actually a little shallow. I'll actually use the oxygen as also my bailout. So I'll use the bottom gas and oxygen both to drive the rebreather and as bailout. As I go to a 45 meter dive, I add more bailout, more decompression gas. Deeper, more decompression gas. Sorry, 45 meter dive, I add more bailout. And as I start going deeper and deeper, I just keep adding decompression bottles as needed. Now those decompression bottles are not used during the dive or any portion of the dive. They're pure bailout decompression bottles. That's really important to understand. We don't use those gases. They're just bailout, they're open circuit bailout. So you would use your standard theory from open circuit, what your bailout is. Same as your bottom. You don't really use bottom gas. So you only carry enough bottom gas to drive the rebreather a little bit, and enough for 2 divers to air share while ascending to the surface. So standard rock bottom theory. So these are how we use our gases. Now, of course, what's also nice is the rebreather is capable of SCR, like I said. So if I arrive somewhere like we did in an island in the middle of nowhere, and we don't have pure oxygen, we can simply use nitrox 32 or any of those gases and then use it in SCR mode. So it's a very, very simple rebreather to switch between closed circuit and CCR and semi-closed circuit, SCR. There's no switch, but you can dive a switch the way you think. You plug in different gases. So I'll simply plug into the diluent the SCR gas and then use it as an SCR. You understand? It's just a different theory. In other words, I won't use the oxygen and then it's SCR mode. That's simple. So that kind of concludes a lot of this big long blog, and I'm sorry it went on more than 40 minutes. I promised you at the beginning it would only be 40 minutes. But hopefully that gives you a good insight to the MX, why I've chosen the MX, why I've chosen this configuration. I talked a little bit about why I chose the KISS, but again, this configuration I've seen people do with many different versions. I personally have configured it and dove it as a hammerhead, as a megalodon. You can use any of those. Most important thing is the BLV, no ADV, no Copus, stuff like that. Although you can see even on this, it's capable of still adding the Copus if you want to, and you know, if you want to, you can still add the Copus, but in reality, you'll find it's completely unnecessary. Anyways, if you have any questions about this and CCR diving and all that, feel free to email me at ag@unifiedteamdiving.com. And other than that, my friends, well, I'd like to say safe diving to you, but we're going to have a safe project. We're going to have a great project. And if you have any questions about the project, feel free to ask us that as well. As always, guys, safe diving.